And so, so I just want to welcome everyone to the Pathways to Leadership workshop series. And so, essentially, Pathways to Leadership will explain a little bit about what it is and how you can get involved in it, as well as just kind of some of the topics. So we'll review some of all that stuff, and then in a minute, Harper will kind of explain some of the logistics as it applies to the Pathways to Leadership program. But I'll begin by introducing myself. So my name is Mario Garibay. I'm the Assistant Dean of Student Affairs for Muir College. And so I'll let Harper introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Harper Estes, and I am the Student Affairs Intern in charge of leadership programs in Muir College.
Thank you. And so we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so a little bit of an overview of what Pathways to Leadership is. So in Muir College, one of the biggest things that we stress there's two really big values that we stress. One is celebrating the independent spirit, and then the other one is community. And so really what we do through the Pathways to Leadership program is try to do those two things simultaneously. So one is that the program as itself is composed of workshops and conferences, and we'll explain what each of those are. And so essentially it's that you are able to essentially choose your own adventures. So one of the biggest things that we really stress in Muir is that leadership comes in different forms and different styles. Like it's not always a formal leadership role, although it could be sometimes. Really, it's a matter of like that everyone has the capacity to be leaders. And so basically this program is intended to be able to provide different access points for individuals. So if you just want to go to a bunch of the workshops, if you want to go to the conferences, the hours, I'll talk about that in a second, and they play into CCR certification. I'll explain what that is as well. But really, it's a matter of like, if you want to go to all the workshops and the conferences, by all means, please go to it. If you want to go to a few and not necessarily go through the program formally, that's totally okay as well. We really just want to be able to share this information with you because, again, everyone has the capacity to be leaders and everyone has the ability to learn and grow. And so we want to be able to provide that information. The other thing too in Muir College that we really stress is community. And so that's the other element too. It's like, how do we really utilize our role of leadership in terms of, serving the larger community? So we utilize some different theories, and one of which is the social change model theory, which takes the individual to the and how that individual plays out in the group, and then how that group plays out into larger society, so that you understand that every impact and everything that you do impacts others at the same time. And that's what essentially a role of a leader is. You're never by yourself as one individual in terms of leadership. And I was just talking to Harper a little bit earlier because I was like, how am I going to do this presentation around leadership, given what's happening right now in the Capitol in Washington, D.C. And I know, you may or may not know what's happening there right now, but it's really tense, and it's like not a good example of what a good leader is. And our hope is that in terms of some of the leadership that you all can demonstrate, it's like saying like how you could give back to your community and be a really strong leader, and not, kind of what we're seeing kind of blow up in Washington, D.C. as we speak. So we were talking about, you all as future leaders, hopefully can change the world as well. And so just as I mentioned, there's two different programs that you can get involved in. You can either just go by attending workshops, or you can join either the 10-hour or the 30-hour program. So the 10-hour program is composed of workshops mostly, and as well as like an introductory conference. So you would go to one of the conferences, basically just kind of get to your 10 hours. And then the advanced programs is composed of 30. And both of these are year long. So just because you're starting now in the winter, or if you started late in the fall, doesn't mean that you can't get to those 30 hours. As you'll notice, and as other students have already started recognizing, it's really easy to get your hours in just by being at these workshops. Like today, you're going to get probably half an hour immediately just by coming to today's workshop. So it's really easy to get to the 30 hours over a whole year. So if you get to the 10-hour and you're like, it wasn't that hard to get to the 10 hours, I'm just going to commit and do the full 30 hours, then, we encourage you to do that.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about some benefits to you. So you can, by attending our workshops, there's a lot of interactive parts to the workshop. So you can meet other student leaders, which is really great, especially in these times, so you can connect with others. Another Another great benefit is that you can get a greater sense of community at Muir College. And it doesn't matter whether you're on campus or off campus. I'm personally an off-campus student, and I know that I've gotten to connect with a lot of on-campus students. So it really doesn't matter where you are when attending these workshops. You can also make great connections with staff, such as Mario, who's at all of our workshops, and other staff members around campus who come and present. You can meet a lot of great staff members. And a lot of our workshops are really intentional to give you leadership skills or give you other types of skills, like working skills and stuff. So that will help you long term with other employment opportunities or even a possible job in the future. I know last quarter we had a workshop that was based on interview skills, but I think that all these workshops, they really teach specific skills that you can also use in an interview to get your job. And I know also we had last quarter, we had an inclusive workshop that we had. Well, all of our workshops are inclusive, but we have one specifically on inclusivity. And we are going to be having our winter intercultural retreat, which I'll talk about later, but that's also going to be helping us cultivate that inclusive environment. And lastly, a great benefit is that you get CCR certification, which Mario will talk about in a second, but that will also go on your co-curricular record, which you can use in future jobs or grad school.
Yeah, so the co-curricular record, so CCR, so you want to go to the next slide, Harper? Yeah, so the CCR is essentially creates a transcript similar to what your academic transcript is, but it's basically all your co-curricular experiences. And so if your, say for instance, Pathways to Leadership is one of the opportunities that are listed on CCR, you can go in, log in, and join that as well so that you can add it to it. And then later on at the end of the year, if you qualify for either the 10 or 30 hours, I'll validate it as the CCR validator. And so it's currently in progress. It's going to be approved. There's some logistics in terms of having to go through the approval process. So you essentially, once it's an approved thing, you go in at the end of the year, sign up for it, and then it gets registered on your CCR. So as I mentioned, this is a really great thing to like have access to because either once you're at your, fourth year, you're graduating, or if you're graduating transfer your second year and you're like, what did I do over the past couple of years? And you want to go back and look at all your leadership stuff, it's all in one space. The other thing too is that, as Harper mentioned, you could, I'll get to that in a second, Mia, thank you. And what you can also do is like actually print it out. And in some cases you could include it in like a portfolio, similar to like how you do a resume or something like that. So it's just a nice resource to have. And then again, it really demonstrates that all kind of the skill sets that you developed in your 2 or 4 years at the university. Okay. And then in terms of, so this slide specifically is talking about kind of the top 5 skill sets that employers want to see on your resume. I think oftentimes, we don't necessarily think about all these other skill sets that we're developing in college. Like, yes, we're doing a lot of stuff in terms of our internships and our research as well as in our classrooms, but that's one part of the overall thing that a lot of professional staff, or excuse me, a lot of professionals are looking for when you're applying for either jobs or graduate programs. And so in terms of kind of the top 5 things that employers have said, and this is through like multiple research polls and things like that, but verbal communication, teamwork, problem solving, organization, and information processing. And something that you're seeing a lot too, and I guess this kind of applies to teamwork, but a lot of things that you're seeing more recently is also how to interact with people from different cultures. And so, in terms of those types of the skill sets, something like this and something about just getting involved in developing your leadership skills can help you kind of foster some of those developmental opportunities. So making sure that you're developing those skills, and you do that through like group projects and student government, but you can also do that here through the Pathways to Leadership program. And before we talk about this real quick, so CCR, I don't know if it's on their website yet, but I'll drop the link in the chat. But it's because it's still in the pending process. So just as soon as it gets confirmed, it'll be listed there. I would check back at the end of the quarter.
Awesome. Okay, so now we'll talk about some important dates. And I'm also sorry if you hear construction in the background when I'm talking, but yeah. Anyway, so So these are our conferences / retreats. So during fall, we already had Inspiring Mirror Leadership Conference. And so that was really great. But looking forward to the future, we actually have our intercultural retreat, which is actually next Friday. So January 15th from 1 to 5 p.m. It's a really easy way to get some hours. It's a long period of time, so I'd recommend definitely going. But also you should attend because it will provide a lot of information regarding like equity, social justice, and also some identity kind of introspective work that you'll get to work on. So that will be great. And then also during spring quarter, we will have our Mirror Social Change Retreat. And this is also for like any continuing students or graduating seniors. And as it says, this program will further refine leadership skills, and you will learn how to create change through involvement or continue your leadership after your time at UC San Diego to make a change on the world. So we have those for conferences. And then additionally, it's not moving. Okay. Additionally, we have a bunch of workshops this quarter. So here is a whole list of them. So next week, we will have a Leadership During COVID student panel. So definitely attend, especially if you're interested in getting involved in Mirror, because we're going to have a lot of student panelists that can give you some like insight on involvement. Week 3, social change model from me to we. And then week 4, communication style. Week 5, ethical decision making. Week 6, self-care and collective care in the age of COVID. Week 7, it will be on like conflict resolution in teams. Week 8, teamwork, love it or hate it. Week 9, women in leadership. And week 10, meet your provost. So these are all of the workshops. And as you can kind of tell, a lot of these workshops, they're not as much on the individual person, but rather kind of moving from the individual to the group, which is similar to the social change model that Mario already mentioned. But yeah, these are the workshops for the quarter. And with that, Q&A. So let us know if you have any questions